Howdy ho, Lions fans. Welcome to the Detroit Lions podcast, episode 538. 538. Detroit Lions finding their way. This is the official Detroit Lions podcast for Reddit. I am your dashing host, Chris, and with me is my good friend and joyous co-host, well coiffed as usual, Jeff the Riz Risen. How you doing, brother?
Good. I gotta mute my phone real fast. Now I'm good. Do that. Rookie mistake. 538 shows. Probably should be past those by now.
Silencio. We'll put that in the opening credits now. Oh, we got him.
It's good to be back, Chris. We couldn't do a live show last week, so we get to do a real fun one tonight. It'll be great.
Yeah. Appreciate everybody tuning in to Riz's solo stuff. He does good work. You may have seen it, Riz. I don't know, since you did it. Good stuff. Appreciate you, man, holding up the fort. A little bit of work travel. Then my anniversary this last weekend. Through that, had a good time, and now we're into the football. And don't worry, every time we do a post-game show this year, the Lions are going to win. So we'll see you on Sunday. We got a lot to talk about today. We got the warm-ups ahead at the beginning of the show, top of the show. We're going to talk about Belichick's missing banana. The Detroit Lions worryometer. We'll talk about what it is even called. And we're doing the Arizona Cardinals game preview. We got all that and a whole lot more coming up. It's a great show. Riz, you ready to go, my man?
I am. Let's do it.
Woo.
Yeah. Let's kick this off and break it down.
My ball deflated. Limb.
And that was that. Prop gone with one misplaced phrase. All right. Yeah, Black Lion. I just learned people went to Campbell's house to boo him after the Bucs lost. What WTF is wrong with everyone? I don't know. I mean, they're probably just bitter that their moms were choking on sausages. Who knows? So, look to go. It's terrible. Those people shouldn't be doing that kind of stuff.
It's really frustrating. And the irony of it is that earlier today, I had brought up in our Patreon Slack, which you should be in, by the way, about how I have dealt with online harassment in my position. And this was before we even knew what was going on. And a lot of us in the media have gone through this. And it's it's an unglamorous and unflattering part of the fan base that unfortunately people like myself and Rogers, Burkett, Meinke, Reisman, we're exposed to it a hell of a lot more than you probably think we are. And it's an unfortunate byproduct of doing the job, but I've never had anybody directly come to my home and threaten me before, like the way that Dan got. And apparently, from my understanding, is that this wasn't the first or even second time that has happened to Dan. And that is not cool at all. None. Yeah. That's got to stop.
They don't do it in Florida for a reason. Yeah, it's people are broken. People are just broken right now. And try to live a little different, but the people that are that broken are going to always be that broken, and maybe they'll get culled along the way. I see where was it Black Lion, break out the Dobermans. I'm all in, man. Break them out. One named Smith, one named Wesson. People like that that are that small deserve what they get. Okay, let's call it.
They're proliferating, unfortunately, and that's a function of the society that we're in in these trying times, which we're technically not allowed to say we're not allowed to write that in our articles. That phrase is banned because we overused it. Good times, man.
Yeah. No, we'll get through it.
We're one okay. Loss, people. Come on. It's one loss.
Okay.
He's still Dan Campbell. What are you doing?
Can you tell me the team that won the Super Bowl without losing a game all season?
That was the Miami Dolphins in the year of my birth. I turned 52 yesterday, so yeah, it's been a while.
So every coach since then has probably felt for their life and had to move because the fans were so unhinged, right? Yeah, that's smart. All right, we'll get into it. Let's talk about it. Let's do warm-ups as we gather here right now. I want to get right into this. So 3 of 10 and 5 of 7. It's a math problem today, folks, and this is a balanced equation. The first part of the equation is 3 of the top 10 empties. Sorry. 3 of the top 10 jerseys for sale or purchased are Detroit Lions jerseys. There's Aidan Hutchinson, Oh my God, it's Aidan Hutchinson, John Gibbs, and I forgot was it St. Brown or Goff?
It's St. Brown.
St. Brown, thank you.
It's
Hutchinson, St. Brown, and Gibbs, 3 of the top 10 NFL jerseys sold right now.
Goff is, I believe, in the teens too. I don't have the information in front of me. We got to communicate on it earlier today. I kind of glanced at it.
That's pretty awesome, man.
Yeah, and some of it's a combination of the fact that we have new jerseys, and you want to get the fresh gear. They look spectacular, by the way.
Yeah.
I'll just say this from being like out in the wild: the white ones look the best on most people. If you're ordering one to like wear the style and profile, get the white. It's the best look for most people. But I mean, you can't go wrong with the blues either. But they look good as well. But
and the black, are they slimming?
I have not seen much of the black, to be honest.
I imagine the black jerseys are slimming, so I'm going to go with that. I know the blacks look good, and I saw that they're going to be wearing those. What was it, Monday night? And then also for the Buffalo game where I'll be, I'm so excited to see them roll the blacks out there, man. Yeah,
for those of you who need to know what they're going to wear this week, remember that the Cardinals are wearing their all blacks, so you're probably going to see the Lions in their all whites this week. Don't know that for sure, but it seems like a pretty fair guess that they'll be the all whites. Which, by the way, they're great in, and they look really good.
We got some happy birthday, Riz. Happy belated birthday, Riz, and birthday lap dances for Riz. All right. Nice. Him and his deflated ball would enjoy that very much.
Yeah, I know. I threw it away. I can't go grab it now. It's all limp over there.
Oh, man. So let's get into it. We'll get into the week. We'll talk about that. We got to get into 5 of 7, though. And this is one that I think can help people understand what is going on. 5 of the
I know this, Chris. I know this one.
5 of the NFC playoff teams lost this week.
Yes, they did.
5 of the 7 NFC playoff teams from last year lost this week. Guess what? It happens. It happens.
Yeah. Look at that. Can you imagine being a Dallas Cowboys fan right now?
No, I couldn't.
And getting emasculated like by the Saints in your own building like that? Good Lord.
Yeah, that's good. I love that. They deserve it. They deserve every inch of that.
Just looking around the league, can you imagine being the Baltimore Ravens right now? There's a very real chance they're going to be 0-3.
Nobody would have predicted that. Nope. I mean, the teams that we have a better record than right now is actually a pretty good list. And if you look at it that way, you can be confident. It's one of the things we talk about a little bit is week 1. I've said it every year for the last couple of years. Week 1 is fool's gold. Week 2 is one of the most difficult betting weeks of the season because you're processing bad information to make your bets.
Overreacting on a small sample size.
Yep. And bro, I didn't, and I still got destroyed in my bets this week. I got wrecked. It was okay. It happens. I'm still, I'm fine.
That's the way the cookie crumbles.
I'll still make the house payment. It's okay. But yeah, I got wrecked. But anyway, no, it happens. And week 1, week 2 of the NFL are really, really difficult. They're really, really difficult. And it's not just the small sample size either. I mean, week 2, you still have teams like this is the second game that these guys have played together since the NFC Championship game last year, and it's just rough. I mean, I don't like necessarily what MCDC said on 97.1 about, hey, it could take till the bye week before we get it. I understand what he's saying. I get it. And I don't think he means it very literally, but I'm not. It's like, okay, come on.
It's not what we collectively as Lions fans needed or wanted to hear, even if it's probably true. The part that gets unsaid on that is that the other teams are in the same boat. Yep. You think that was the best the Buccaneers are going to play? Nah. You think that's the best that the Raiders are going to do? Probably not. New Orleans, are they going to be able to play? Like there are teams that are going to get better as the season goes on. We're one of them. By the way, Chris, what were we last year at this time?
1-1.
We were 1-1. How'd that turn out?
NFC Championship game.
Yeah. And I would say pretty confidently that we lost to a better team this year in week 2 than we did last year in week 2. That Tampa Bay team, that's a good football team. And I think one of the reasons why there's such an overreaction is because so many people, and I'm including people that are in the Detroit media in this, like talked up just how bad Tampa was. Oh, we beat them twice last year. They're nothing. They're crap. Baker Mayfield's going to suck. He's going to fall back to earth. They got people out. They're terrible. That's an awful football team. Well, then when you lose to them, where do you go?
Well, we beat them 10 out of the last 12 games. And it's easy to get confident about a team like that. And let's be honest, the Buccaneers have not really been scary to about anyone for a long time. They've been good, but not scary. And this year, some things have come together for them. And even with those injuries, they were well coached. They played well. And Baker, let's be honest, Baker was playing out of his mind because he took last year personally. Well. I'll tell you this much: when we meet them in the playoffs, I'm kind of glad in one sense that we'll have lost this game, only because, not because we may have to play them away, but because we now have a little bit more respect where it's deserved, and we might have gone in a little bit overconfident into the playoffs, having just kind of gone, 11 out of 13, right?
I agree.
I don't like any loss. Don't take it the wrong way, right? But if I'm trying to find something here, this is probably a good kind of sack check for the Lions for when we have to play them again.
You want to keep with the numbers real fast. The Pythagorean theorem, like of football things. It's Aaron Schatz from used to be with Football Outsiders, I think. He does his own thing now, but the Lions it's based on the yardage and turnovers and all the factors like that. The Lions had like a 97% chance of winning that game based on the way that the book reads.
Yep.
But the paper doesn't put points on the board, and they lost it.
There's only 4 teams in the NFC that are 2-0 right now, and 5 in the AFC. It's not, the Vikings oddly are one of the ones. They are not who I expected to be at the top of the division right now. That just tells you how wacky the beginning.
I didn't think their defense was going to be able to do what they've done. So
I don't think they're going to be able to sustain it. To be honest with you,
I don't either. I think people get tired of Brian Flores very quickly.
Yeah,
they won't be different. I'm going to guess.
You're looking at the Niners are 1-1. Rams are 0-2, which is crazy. The Commanders are the top of the NFC East, just so you know. And you got the Eagles and the Cowboys both 1-1. Again, way too early to be showing up at your coach's house. I hope you people step on a Lego.
By the way, the Commanders won a game 21-18 by kicking 7 field goals. And the only reason they won that is because the Giants kicker pulled his hamstring or something or quad on his first kickoff. And they couldn't kick field goals to match them. That's why they signed Greg Joseph off of our practice squad this week.
Yep.
Craziness.
Well,
nakedness and chaos, as my friend would say.
Joey two times says, "Yep, I'm worried that Kyler is going to run all over us and that Marvin Harrison Jr. has a breakout game." I think Marvin Harrison Jr. had a breakout game last game, 2 touchdowns, right? If I remember correctly, and he had a.
Oh, by the way, remember all the people that are like, he didn't catch any passes his first week. What the hell? He's a bust. Y'all got to calm down. It's 1 week. It's 2 weeks. Small sample size. He looked pretty damn good last week. Caught 4 passes for 120 yards. By the way, all 4 of those passes came in the first quarter.
Don Burr. 15 games left. It's a lot of ball to be played. Absolutely, my man. Absolutely.
Yes, sir. That's exactly right.
All right, let's do this. Hey, we usually forget to ask at the beginning, so we'll ask now. Since you're here, if you would like, subscribe, hit the like button. At least you're sitting here, it's free. Just hit the little button, let people know, help people find us. We appreciate it when you do that for the show. It's really kind of you to do that and help us out. All right, let's go into it.
Yeah. Let's go.
First topic of the day: Belichick is a banana short of a fruit bowl. I really want to talk about this. Now, it's not as nutty. It's not as nutty as the headlines say, but it's still pretty stupid. For a guy that I think is actually a really smart guy. A lot of people like to hate on him and whatever else, but he's a really smart guy. And how smart he is proven by how nobody around him has been able to freaking succeed without him, right? Except Tom, Mr. Michigan. So let's get into it. He says the Lions are reaping the benefits, are enjoying the fruits of the labor of Matt Patricia. And it's like, what? And then you kind of dig in and see what he was talking about. And he's like, well, it was the guts of that offensive line started in the Matt Patricia era. And I'd say, okay, I could almost go with that, except Matt Patricia didn't make a single draft pick. It was that other guy with the baseball bat, Bubby Quiddy. And I don't know what, he is shilling so hard for his little buddy to get a job.
Hey,
but
Patricia did hire Hank.
Yes,
I mean, did. Maybe that's where he's going with it. I don't know. Look, I really, really like Bill Belichick. And I think he's good as a media personality. He's better than Brady.
Yeah.
I think he's really good at that. He's also better than Bill Parcells, his mentor. And by the way, Belichick will always let you know that he won a lot without Parcells, and Parcells never won squadouche without him. That's sort of, if you ever want to get on the Bill Parcells people, give them that. Because they're still out there too. Dan Campbell being one of them, Aaron Glenn being one of them too.
Yes. So he did hire Ben
he's
Johnson.
Just
there's folks saying didn't he hire Ben Johnson as a tight end coach, and he did.
He did.
But that again, he was talking. He specifically was talking about the offensive line that's been carrying the Detroit Lions. He wasn't talking about the offense. So we're talking about, you take the headline and it's like, wait, what's really behind it? He's talking about the benefit of the offensive line that has carried the Lions. So while he did hire Ben Johnson, and we could talk about that separately, that's not what Bill Belichick was talking about. Go ahead, Reese.
And also, Taylor Decker was here before Patricia. It was 2016.
Mm-hmm. There you go.
Patricia didn't come until 2017. Ragnow was a great pick, and Chris, you and I know this. That was the pick that Matt Patricia wanted. So maybe that's where he's going. I don't know.
I think Patricia really wanted a linebacker.
I just don't understand. Well, he always wanted a linebacker. I just don't understand the
thumper.
What compromising information about Bill Belichick does Matt Patricia have? Because there's no other real excuse for it. The guy was a terrible coach here. He was just awful. He was such an energy and life and hope suck. And he's not going to get hired again. As much as Belichick is trying to help him out and get him a solid, he's as damaged goods as Eric Mangini, and I think who else is off that tree that's never going to get hired again. There's a lot of them.
Maybe he's looking to move on and start dating Patricia's daughter. Who knows? You know how Belichick works. You never know.
Boy.
You never know.
The fact that Bill Belichick did actually coach in Detroit makes it a little bit more disappointing. This was back in the 70s when I was probably still not able to change my own diapers yet. But he should know better. He should.
Thank God for that.
He is a very smart guy, and he pays attention to it. I still maintain I would go to a speaking tour with Bill Belichick and Nick Saban, and I would pay a shit ton of money to sit at a table and listen to that for 3 hours. That'd be incredible.
No,
and I don't particularly like either one of them, but I have a tremendous amount of respect for what they do and admiration for how they've gone about being great in a spot where it's difficult to be great even for a short time, and they've done it for an extended period.
Yeah.
Each of them at the different levels. I still think that'd be a fascinating tour, and I hope they put that together.
If you remember, though, to Belichick, and I'm going to tie this all back to where we are right now, and rather than his banana short of a fruit bowl. The Patriots in that do your job year, they lost 40, it was after the first half, it was 40 something into in the single digits maybe, going into the half to an ascending Kansas City Chiefs team as they were really starting to make their make hay in the NFL and become who they are. They just got smoked by that team, and it was like the second game of the season, and it was just an absolute embarrassment. And they turned around and they won a Super Bowl, and they won Super Bowls after that too. But it was a humiliating loss. I wouldn't say that this. I mean, in a way, this game in Tampa was a bit humiliating because the Lions just did not do what the Lions can and have done. The offense was terrible. The play calling was terrible. We could not get out of our own way. You look at the guys that were hurt. I mean, people talk about Ben Johnson trying to get cute. I saw him on the sideline a couple times, really angry, like angry. Something wasn't clicking on that team. Jared was not his best Jared. He had his worst game, I think it was, as a Detroit Lion, or one of his worst games as a Detroit Lion. And he had some tough games in that first year in particular. This one was just a stinker across the board. I mean, if we take something away, though, the defense, again, has done a really good job of holding a team that was powerful to, what was it, 20 points?
20 points, 2 games in a row.
Yep. Keeping that point total low. You have to be able to win in the NFL if you hold the opposing team to 20 points, especially when you're built like the Detroit Lions. You are built to put 27, 30 points on the board every week, and that's the expectation. So the defense did their job this week. We'll talk a little bit about that. We'll get into some of those things, but
We will.
I just don't. It's not time to freak out because of this Tampa game. It sucked. I'm sitting poolside,
and they're good,
drinking my way from top to bottom through the menu, watching the game. And I'm cheering, and it was like it was the perfect situation to win. And we didn't. So, but there was all kinds of alcohol available for the loss to soothe the pain. But it was stunning. It was absolutely stunning to see that. And they just never seemed to find their groove all day. That's part of it. I don't think there was a big high, like where you really got behind the team and felt like, okay, here it is. Here's where we're finally, making hay and showing what we have. There wasn't the flash. There wasn't it was this kind of slow unfolding train wreck that just hurt the entirety of the time, man.
Just real fast, the Lions offense is currently 16th in scoring. The defense is currently 12th in scoring defense.
Yep. Let's see. It's starting to look like Reynolds. Goff is missing Reynolds as a security blanket. I don't know that that's it.
Goff is not throwing the ball to Amon-Ra or LaPorta when they're open. I don't think this is a very weird narrative because they tried to bring Josh back. The Broncos paid him more money.
Yep.
And also, about 8 months ago, everybody's like, screw that guy. He dropped the Super Bowl ball.
Yeah.
Get him out of here.
Yeah.
Like, you can't have that both ways, guys. You can't. Sorry.
Yep.
Doesn't work that way.
Again, this is one game. We know Goff is better than this. We know the receivers are better than this. I will say, just right off the top, the Terrion interference call, I was like, okay. But then the no call on the JMO play right after that resulted in 3 points the other way, that interception. Those are game-changing calls. Just to be fair, those two calls in rapid succession right off the top changed the whole tone of the game. And the Lions couldn't get out of their own way, this is a problem for the Lions. But I will say that was, what a shit way to start the game with just like, wait a minute. Is this like, what the hell is going on? Because again, the JMO call, I get it. I can see it being called, but not if you don't call. I'm sorry, the Terrion call. I can see it being called, but not if you don't call the JMO call, because that was really egregiously bad. That was egregiously bad. You couldn't miss that. You had to be functionally freaking stupid to miss that. It's almost egregious how bad that missed call was. That was bad. Okay.
Looked worse on film too. When you watched it from the all 22 and you could see the end zone.
All right. Let's get into it. Let's not forget, Belichick is always a banana short of a fruit bowl. Let's get to the next one. The Detroit Lions worryometer.
There's some dragon fruit in there.
And everybody, is it worryometer or worryometer? Go ahead and
worryometer.
Worryometer, I think. I like the worryometer.
I got into a wonderful argument today whether the defensive substitute specialist in volleyball is called a libero or a libero. I don't need any more semantical arguments or pronunciation arguments today. It's worryometer.
It's a worryometer. Go ahead and try to spell it out phonetically for us in the chat and let us know. I think it's a worryometer.
Give you what Ted Thompson gave to me once upon a time.
Worryometer is too herky-jerky. It's too staccato. It's not worryometer. It rolls.
That's how I sing. I'm more in the Dave Mustaine.
You're speaking German. I'm speaking Italian. Come on, it's worryometer. All right, let's get into it.
But you're German.
I know.
I'm Swiss.
Was ist los? All right. So the worryometer, Dan Campbell. We're going to talk about some of the things that we should worry about, whether we shouldn't worry about them, and we're going to talk about those from a perspective of fans and the team and so on. We're starting with Dan Campbell. If I'm going to outline where I'm going to worry about Dan, it's not about the team. It's not about his role as a head coach. It's not about him getting the team ready. It's about dealing with all the bullshit outside. I remember last year they sent a bunch of contractors out there to do work on his house that it didn't need, and they were calling him and driving him nuts at all hours of the morning, and he and his wife were none too happy, and it was BS. And I don't understand. If these are Lions fans doing it, if it was like Bears fans or something, I'm like, okay. The contractors thing is actually kind of a funny prank. I get it. That's okay, right? On the opposing team. Okay, fair, well played, right? But word is it was Lions fans. And then now for people to show up at his house, this is unconscionable to me. This is really freaking bad. These are people who don't want anything nice. They don't want to actually win because they're taking the best chance and they want to run it out of Dodge. And I hope they step on a Lego and then get out and step the other way and step on a rake and it bashes them in the face. And then they step on a child's rake and it bashes them in the nuts. I just want them over and over every morning when they get out of bed.
Family Guy routine.
Yeah, exactly. I want them to run that every morning for the rest of their life because whether you're winning, you're losing, whatever, this is just not okay. So that's the only thing I worry about on my worryometer about Dan Campbell. What about your worryometer, Mr. Risden? Dan.
It's pretty darn low. It's not something. Look, Dan is Dan. Dan is going to make mistakes. He made a tactical mistake at the end of the first half. He took full responsibility for it. And honest to God, this was only he does this a couple times a year, 2-3 times a year, every year. He's like, that loss is all on me. I screwed up. Normally, I think like, okay, he's covering for other people. Like this one it kind of felt like, yeah, obviously the players have to play the game too, but I don't think that he did a good job as a head coach this past week. Does that mean I think he's going to be a bad head coach in week 3? Nope. Does that mean I think he's in trouble? Nope. I'm a little worried actually that he will overcorrect in the other direction and like get a little too like. It's so complex. I have so many thoughts about that last play of how that first half ended. First off, why are you throwing short of the end zone? Why do those one play of your last 29 in the red zone, one pass goes beyond the goal line? One. That's criminal. That is, as my good friend Jim Costa likes to say, that's coaching malpractice. Whether that's Dan not vetoing Ben or Ben not thinking or Jared not being a good quarterback on a day, that shit can't happen again. I worry the next time that they're going to just like throw every pass in the end zone, and that's mistakes will happen then too.
I'll tell you one of
sorry, go ahead.
I got worried. I got worried about all the short passes and none of the deep shots. I mean, there was a couple, but I started getting worried about did Goff do something? Did he get hurt? Like it seemed like they couldn't throw the ball. I'm like, why are they not taking the shots here? Why are they always throwing under the sticks? Why are they like, what happened? What and it's, I hate to say it, the guy who carries a sack in a wheelbarrow is one of the people on the sideline who seemed to shrivel up to a pair of pistachios. I don't know what happened, man. It didn't
like my ball that I threw away over there, all limp and not fun. Yeah, so Dan had a bad game. Does that mean am I worried about him? No, not really. If it's like a 1 to 10 scale, 1 being the lowest and 10 being the highest, I'm like 1.275. Pretty darn low. And keep in mind, I'm somebody who worries about pretty much everything. I'm a middle-aged Lions fan from Cleveland. Like, I worry. That's my nature. That's who I am.
Yeah,
if I'm not worried at least a level of like 3, I am freakishly uncomfortable that there's something that I'm missing that I should be worried about. That's how I live my life.
you would be a great mom, Riz. All right, so your worry-o-meter for Dan Campbell. If you go from 0 to 10, 10 being hot and 0 being cold, where are you at?
1.275. Where are you at?
1.276, because I'm winning the Price is Right, baby.
Right. Shout out to Drew Carey, Cleveland.
Oh, I was Bob Barker kicking what's his face, his ass. Alim McNeill. Yeah. All right, let's get to the next one.
Yeah. All right.
Detroit Lions worryometer, Ben Johnson. So I will say Ben's angry face lowers my worryometer, and the number of times that I saw him angry on the sideline. Something wasn't working that it should, and he knew it wasn't working. If he was sitting over there complacent and slightly annoyed, like we've seen, like if he had the Jim Caldwell face, you know the one I'm talking about, right?
Yes.
If he had that face, my worryometer would have been busting the thermometer open, right? I think he knows the problem. He knows what wasn't working right. And I think there's some asses that got kicked out of it. And I think he kicked his own. Yeah. I don't think he just held people accountable and pointed and did like a Matt Patricia thing. But seeing Ben Johnson, what he's done historically, again, I'm going to say this a lot as we go through this. This is a bad game. This is an anomaly. This is a team in the Bucs that's a better team than they got credit for, that schemed against the Lions perfectly. My worryometer is 1.5-ish, but it's ready to rock it up because of my PTSD, because the lingering little question back there is, did they figure us out? Did they figure us out? Right? I don't think they have.
That's why mine is higher, because we've seen the bag of tricks, and it's fantastic. Now teams are sort of like, okay, hot guy, show me what you can do without your tricks. And thus far, it's not really working. I think that I'm at like a 3.5 with him. Because I think it is one of those things where he's got to keep innovating, and it's tough when you're a company that's at like the leading edge of innovation for so long as Ben Johnson has been with the offensive, NFL offensive game, whatever corporation. It's tough to keep innovating, and there's only so much that you can do with the materials that you've got. With like Jared Goff is a very good quarterback for the system that they designed together. Probably can't ask him to do a lot more than that. Stop running Goff on purpose. Stop rolling him out on purpose. That's not where he wins. Stop running David Montgomery, getting 65 yards on his first 7 carries, and then you don't see him for 2 quarters. It feels like Ben keeps outsmarting Ben. And I wish he was playing the other team with as much vigor as he was playing himself. And I do worry that some of that, I don't know, conceitment, I don't want to call it arrogance, because arrogance always takes on a negative connotation, but it's not necessarily a bad quality to have. In fact, I want I want my stars to be arrogant. I want Jared Goff to be arrogant. I want Aidan Hutchinson to be arrogant. Because that means that they have a lot of confidence in what they do. Yeah, swagger. Yep. It doesn't have to be CD Deuce. There are different ways to have your swagger.
Doesn't have to be narcissism. Right?
Yes. Yeah, exactly. So I worry a little bit that Ben, I think we might have seen the best of Ben. I do worry about that. Now, does B plus Ben still, is he still better than Jim Bob Cooter? Yeah, he is. Is it better than a lot of other teams have? Hell yeah, it is. So you got to kind of balance that worry, but I am more worried about Ben than I am about Dan, for sure.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, I'm not super worried about Ben. I just, again, the one tinge is, did he get figured out? And I don't think he has. I again think this was just a bad game. It's early in the season, and I'm going to lean on that. But
exactly, I don't want to overreact to it either. But again, this is a common criticism that we had it. Chris, you and I talked about it when we were in Mobile in our hotel room. Super sad after the loss. Like,
yeah,
why did Ben Johnson stop attacking? Why did he stop playing offense? Why did he get away from what? We've had that conversation a few times on post-game shows too. Like, they were killing it, and then Ben got away from what was working. That hasn't gotten better, and I think that's what worries me. I wonder if it ever will, is probably my worry there. Right. Sort of existential dread. Can't really put a finger on it, but
all right,
it's there for me. I can't help it.
Let's get to the other side of the worryometer, or for Riz, the worryometer. The worryometer, Aaron Glenn. Aaron G. Len. 20 points in 2 games, 20 points each game in 2 games. Defense doing what they're supposed to. Aidan Hutchinson off the charts for sacks. The defensive line just looking. Everyone's worried. Oh, we need somebody off the other side. We need somebody off the other side, Hutch. I'm scared about this defensive line. The defensive line isn't putting in work. Yeah. The secondary's been okay. Secondary's been holding up, looking good with that rook out there.
Other than the penalties,
has a couple of hard, tough plays. That's okay.
All those new bodies back there.
They're working to get Branch year 2. Ooh, more tipped balls than anybody in the NFL.
Chris, you remember after week 1 when Brian Branch was one of our lowest graded PFF people, and people were like, "Oh my God, why did we move him to safety? What are we doing? Yep. Stop!" Yeah, he was almost. If Aidan Hutchinson hadn't had a spectacular week, and also Jesse Bates, who did win the NFC Defensive Player of the Week, which he's a great player.
Yep.
I know he got the interception in primetime. That probably got it for him.
Yeah.
Hutch was better. Branch was like top 5 in Defensive Player of the Week for my book, anyways. I've weirdly watched every NFC game from last week. Maybe that's one of the reasons why I'm not too worried about the Lions, because I watched the other teams play too. So right. Aaron Glenn, my
worryometer, just so I say, is less than 1. I have it at less than 1.
The only thing I worry about with Aaron Glenn is that he stressed to us that he had never had his own type of cornerbacks that he wanted before. Guys like Carlton Davis, Terrion Arnold, Amik Robertson, who get up into your face and play press man and are at their best playing man coverage, and he plays more zone. Man coverage, the Bucs did not get squad douche. The Lions in man coverage were great.
Yep.
But the zone defense transitions, that Chris Godwin pass, I'm still trying to figure out who's at fault on that.
Yeah.
Because there's so many different people that didn't do what they need to do in the zone defense. And it's a lot harder to coordinate a brand new secondary. And look, all the corners are new. Branch is playing a different position than he has been before, so he's seeing things differently. Kirby Joseph hasn't played with him back there before. Like, you've got so many moving parts there. It's going to be hard to coordinate that. Why don't you just play man? Especially when you got a running quarterback like Baker Mayfield. And now, Kyler Murray. Really good running quarterback, who, by the way, is playing in the structure of their offense exceptionally well. So, play more man. Please.
I got burned on my parlay because of Mike Evans not getting 100 yards. I was certain he was going to be the threat, and he was the one that he didn't do, out to borrow a term, squadouche. He had nothing in that game. It was
Chris Godwin was their alpha dog in that game.
Yeah.
And again, most of his stuff came, he had one crossing route where he got a very good throw by Baker Mayfield. Carlton Davis immediately tackled him after the catch. That was pretty much the only one in man that he got, too. So,
yeah. Yep.
Man defense has been very good. Just AG excuse me, choking on dragon fruit. Eat a banana. Where's Patricia? I'm not worried about Aaron Glenn. I think.
Do you remember last year when they were calling for his head?
I mean, there were still people calling for his head after this weekend.
Yeah, but there's a lot of not smart people out there too. I'm talking about
there are. They tend to show up
of
at Dan Campbell's house.
Yeah, exactly.
But again, as I said earlier,
a loud yell for Glenn's head last year.
We get, those of us who are in the media get exposed to those people a lot more than the common people. And maybe that's why we're a little bit more cynical and bitter about it, is all I'll say. Because it's in our face.
Or skinical. All right. Don Burr, I will give you credit for this. We will take a quick aside. Go Tigers. Let's go. What a run they've had. Holy smokes, man. Good stuff.
They're apparently going to make the playoffs?
They're close. They've won I'm going to be close, but it ain't the right number. They've been like 30-10 in the last couple games. Then just balling out. And they may be fighting their way back on what felt like a lost cause. So that's nice. All right.
Baseball's got to be about over, doesn't it?
Yeah, we're getting close.
I don't follow baseball whatsoever. So
yeah, no. I'm not.
I just know that the Tigers are playing better now. So
I'm not big on it, but I will watch if the Tigers are humming along. So I'm getting it. All right, let's get into the next one. The worryometer, Jared Goff. So I'm going to start off with my worryometer on him. The one place where I would worry about Jared is the one thing that he fights every time. The one thing that will make Jared Goff not a good player is Jared Goff's mind. His brain is his biggest enemy or friend, no matter what happens. I don't worry at all after this week about Jared Goff. He had a bad game. He's already forgotten it. He's shown that he can forget it, and he has moved on. Now, if we get a game 2 and a game 3, there's exponential growth in my worryometer. But where I am with Jared right now, he had a bad game. It's one game. Bad games happen. Teams have bad games. You've seen it from Super Bowl winning teams all over the place. The freak out and burn it all down and show up at the coach's house stuff. I'm not in that train. I'm not there. Could it be? Yeah. And some of the people freaking out right now are going to say, see, I told you so. They didn't know shit. They just were freaking out because they're prone to freaking out. I think my worryometer is pretty low with Jared Goff right now. It's pretty low. He had a bad game. As long as it's not in his head, and I don't think this one game will be in his head, especially after we watched how he grew from year 1 to year 2 to year 3 with this team, I'm not worried that this is going to crack Jared Goff. Jared Goff has been through 10 times worse and darker places and come back from those. That this is one that this is just a bump in the road. He'll move on, he'll forget, and he'll be the old Jared Goff, given the right plays, given the right opportunities. And it's not just Jared Goff. There's a lot of things that make this team hum. And I think we'll see that. I think we'll see it against the Cardinals. So my Jared Goff worryometer is pretty low, below a 2. How about your worryometer, Mr. Risden?
I'm roughly in. I think he and Ben Johnson are intertwined in my worryometer. So because Jared wasn't good without Ben, and I don't think that Ben would be good without Jared either. And it feels like they're sort of going in a little bit of a different direction independently of one another, and they need to get back together. And I hope that they realize that. So I have some concerns over it. I think the big thing that got to me, and I got this when I watched the film of the game, was how often he was late in getting the ball to where it needed to be. This offense thrives on, okay, let's hit Amon-Ra on the dead run. Let's hit LaPorta as he's breaking away and catching it in stride. That's where Gibbs coming out of the backfield on a wheel route and stuff like that. That's where Goff's at his best. And every pass this past week, other than the bomb to J-Mo, which was glorious, it was awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Was like the receiver is a stationary target. And Amon-Ra got the hell beat out of him by Jordan Whitehead and all those guys flying into him because he's not moving when he catches the ball. He's literally a sitting duck. And that is the Jared Goff that the Rams got rid of. And you could see it back in like 2019 when he was really good in 2018. 2019 was when he started to fall, and he just kept falling and falling and falling. And that's where it is incumbent upon Ben Johnson and Dan Campbell to keep him grounded and keep him from falling and falling and falling, because he's shown that he has done that in the past. And we're hopeful. I'm extremely hopeful that he's not that guy anymore. I don't think he is, but I can't not worry about that again, because I worry about everything.
All right.
So I'm at like, what was I with Ben? Like a 3? I'll go like 3.05 with Goff.
Okay. There you go. Yeah, I'm still low. And again, it can get exponential, but Jeff's worryometer is over at about 3. Mine's a lot lower with Mr. Goff, my worryometer.
Yeah.
And we'll
You're more chill in general, so that's good for you.
At times, I can be. I have like an exponential ramp, right? Is 0 to 100 pretty fast. You feel the heat. All right, now we'll go to the worryometer, and we'll talk about the interior offensive line. Uncharacteristic penalties from Mr. Ragnall this week. I was like, what? What? This is not the Frank that I know. I'm not. How do I say this? I know how to say it. If we didn't have Hank Fraley, I'd be worried. Yeah. Hank Fraley
he calms my nerves as well.
Beating ass in that room, and Hank does not take bullshit from anybody, right? Whether it's play, no matter what, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You know what you need to do? You put in more work. That's what you need to do. You need to work. Guess what you're going to do? You're going to work. You're going to work. And that's what's going on right now. I think, again, there's 2 teams on the field, right? And I think you have in the defensive coordinator on Tampa side, you have a very talented individual who is aggressive and he knows how to pick teams apart. And I think the Lions were just a bit overwhelmed and didn't expect everything that they got. And I think that they're not used to that.
Specifically in the red zone. Yeah.
They're not going to face this kind of defense throughout the year. Maybe they will now, because teams like to say, oh, maybe they were exposed, but I don't know that other teams are tuned the way this Tampa team is.
Arizona sure as hell in.
Yeah. My worryometer's probably around a 3 here, just because these boys got to gel and we got to put it together. But again, we've got Hank, and I think he's gonna give some drop knees on some people, and he you don't want Hank, you don't want him dropping elbows, you don't want him dropping knees. No. Any appendage for Hank is gonna hurt. But it's can you imagine seeing that? I'm like picturing it in my head. It's freaking hilarious, actually. Big.
He's a large human too.
Yeah, yes, he is. He's like 5 inches taller than I am. Like he's a
big guy.
He's
a big dude.
I have to remember. I have to look at the pictures when we got pictures taken with him at Senior Bowl that year. He's as tall as you are, isn't he?
He's very close to it. Yeah, and he played center. So you don't normally see a lot of 6'5" centers, but I think he was probably listed at like 6'3", but I think he's probably a little bit. He might be bigger than that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Next time I see him, I'll have to measure up. He actually gave a press conference. I wasn't over in Allen Park today, but yeah.
Anyway, so I'm at a 3. Where's your worryometer?
Okay, I'm higher on this one for a variety of reasons. And Hank actually assuages a lot of my fears, thankfully, because I do believe in him, and I think that Frank Ragnow had a bad game. He'll shake that off. Graham Glasgow has not been good on the left side, and that's an experiment, and we collectively were probably a little bit overconfident about the fact that you're asking a guy to play his third position in as many seasons. He was really good at right guard last year. Go back to the last year and a half in Denver, and a lot of times he was hurt. I give him that. He was not a good center, folks. He wasn't. Not at all. And ask literally anybody from Denver. He's not playing well at left guard. Now he's injured. Did he have a bad game because he was injured, or was he just not good? And I worry about that because our depth is not good. Coyote Alshika, look, put him in for a drive. Okay, I'm good. Dan Skipper, maybe. Christian Mahogany isn't ready yet. Colby Sorsdal, is playing tackle. Didn't inspire a lot of confidence this summer. So yeah, I'm a little concerned about the interior offensive line, and it dovetails with the Goff part, because if Jared Goff has pressure in his face, he goes from being a borderline top 5, certainly top 10 quarterback to being 30th in the league. That's what he is when he's under pressure. He's 30th of 33. And if you're one of those below him is clearly Will Levis. If you've watched any of the Titans, good Lord.
I think more backups have played than 33. He's got to be at 36 by now. It's horrible.
Here, why don't you just take the ball?
You know what? I actually feel bad for the kid, because he's obviously nothing around him is right. He could be that bad on his own, but he has got nothing. And this is a thing where we talked about Justin Fields, the Bears actually wrecking him as an NFL quarterback. Yeah. You draft a guy and then you don't put the things around him he needs to succeed. And I swear to God, I hope that happens with Caleb. Not that I don't like Caleb, but I just don't want the Bears to have the quality of quarterback that Caleb could be.
What's happening look at what's happening with Bryce Young, who's no longer the quarterback in Carolina.
Yeah, 100%.
He's been awful, but independent of that, that's an expansion team. That team might not win the UFL championship. They're bad, folks.
Yep.
They have a very legitimate chance to go 0-17. Now, having said that, watch them win 3 in a row, because that's what things happen in the NFL these days. But that's a really, really bad football team, a bad organization that starts at the top.
Yep.
There's a restaurant down in the Charlotte area that keeps posting all this negative Dave Tepper stuff. I'm talking about how Matt Rule is 3-0. All the Panthers players that have left are unbeaten, and then you got Bryce Young. I honestly feel bad for the guy, and I was never a Bryce Young guy.
No,
I got the draft receipts to show that, but he's in an impossible, untenable situation. I don't hold that against him. Yeah. I hope that they trade him somewhere where he gets a chance to prove that he can be something, because it ain't going to happen in Carolina. But so the whole thing about going back to the pressure with Goff and handling pressure, he's never done that well, and I don't think that's going to change either. So that interior offense, and he's better when the pressure is coming from the outside. If it's in his face, he falls off his throws, he moves, he cannot reset and throw very well. That's not what Jared Goff, that's not where he wins. To borrow from Josh Norris back in the day. Hi, Josh, I love you, dude. You want to give your guys in the best situation that they can be. And if he's got to worry about pressure up the gut, you're not going to get the best Jared Goff. Because where does he like to throw? Over the middle. If he can't see that, or if he's distracted and people in his way, arms in his way, it doesn't work. So yeah. I'm fairly concerned between look, I'm not worried about Frank. He'll be fine. The fact that he's practicing every day, he hasn't had a veteran day off. I think that's getting enough play. Yeah. He's good, folks. He had a bad game. Flip side of that.
Yep.
Greg Gaines had a really good game.
I think that so these things feed off of one another also, right? I think that's part of what's happened to the team. But we have to accelerate. In Carolina, can you imagine if Ben was there? Holy cow! What he
It's pretty easy to see why he's not.
Yeah. All right, let's get into this. Detroit Lions worryometer Terrion Arnold. God, Terrion Arnold. It's not hard to say this name. Why am I worrying it? Okay, Terrion Arnold. My worry is low. I mean, it's zero. The only is there a little injury? Okay, I'm a little bit. There's a little spike in it there, but overall, he's as good or better than I thought he was going to be as a rookie. My fears of what could have happened with him as a rookie have been assuaged. He's and look, his attitude, who he is as a person, everything is coming up Terrion, and that from what we see of Terrion. My worryometer is straight zero with him. He's got all the right stuff. It's going all the right directions. He's not going to get 2 PIs a game for the rest of the season. He's going to get better, and he's going to do it fast. And I really, really like the way this kid's built and the way he's playing. He's fantastic out there, and especially this is one of those positions. Give him a little leeway, give him a little room, and let him grow. Right? Everyone loves Darius Slay and wishes he was still with the team. He got benched. His first year. Terrion's going to be fine.
Deservedly,
he's going to be. He's going to be fine. He's looking really good out there.
I'm not worried at all about Terrion unless they keep playing more and more zone. He's not a zone guy. That's not what he's here for.
Yep.
As long as they're playing man defense, he's going to be really good.
Yeah.
He's very, very low. I'm like 0.75 with him.
Ooh, 0.75. On a 10-point scale, Riz is really hitting decimals. Let's go to the next one. Sammy LaPorta. LaPorta. You may know him as our tight end.
Does Jared Goff know he's a tight end?
Good
That was
question.
a cheap shot. Couldn't help it.
Did he think he was a tackle? Illegal man downfield going on here? Is that there's a ways to play. I'll just throw an interception. No, I don't. It's odd because he didn't get the ball. Now, we heard that he's got a injury carrying over from training camp that has limited his what he's gotten.
Yeah.
That smells a
Dan
little bit like an excuse
back,
to me. That smells a bit like an excuse. Yeah. My worry on Sam is not on Sam. My worry on Sam is how Ben has used Sam. And I think that goes back to what we talked about with Ben and how he was thinking these things out. Now, is Sam running poor routes? Like we know with JMO that was part rounded in the routes, not in the spot he's supposed to be. That's not who Sam is. Could it be that there was an injury that was preventing him from being where he needed to be and Jared's trust was low? It's potentially there. Not seeing it though. Not seeing it in how he's playing, how he's moving. So it's a possibility. It just doesn't seem plausible in what I'm seeing. My Sam LaPorta worry is low. My how are they using Sam is a bit higher. Where's your worry-o-meter?
I like that. I like that. I like that you staged it that way because I'm not worried about him as a target. I think the balls are going to come. He has been open. That was really. I even heard that one. Good Lord!
I for once is going to let it go. Thanks for taking my role.
Thank you. I appreciate that because
right
I really didn't mean to do that one. The passing game will get to Sam LaPorta. He will be fine there. I am worried about him as a blocker because he's not gotten better as a blocker. Maybe that's because he didn't get to practice a lot this offseason at it. His blocking was rough. One of the red zone run plays that failed because Sam LaPorta barely got a mitt on the guy that he was supposed to block who wound up getting the tackle. That's not great. So I'm a little bit concerned about that because you do have to block as a tight end in this offense. Even if you're Sam LaPorta, you still have to block. And if he can't, that's going to take opportunities away from him because they need guys in there that can do it. So I'm a little like fantasy football fans are freaking out about Sam LaPorta. I don't give a shit about fantasy football. So I'm ready for Sam to have a nice game. If he catches 5 passes for 52 yards and a touchdown in this game, that's great. Love it. I would like him to match what Trey McBride for the Cardinals will do because that guy's good. You're not going to hear a lot about him. Trey McBride, their tight end, this guy can play. He's a weapon, and Kyler Murray knows how to use him. I want Sam LaPorta to win that duel. If he doesn't win that duel, I'm going to be a little bit more worried. But yeah, I'm like as a receiver, I'm like 1.5. Blocker, probably like a 4. So yeah, it's average that out. That's what 2.75 something.
Yeah,
I don't know, I'm not good at that kind of stuff.
So one of the things that I think people, and it's they're hitting around it in the chat, the arrival of JMO is going to lower everybody's reception count.
Yes.
And for
Smart
many
chat.
times, many times it's going to put Sam further down the progression, and further down the progression with the amount of time that Goff had means he's not getting looks even if he's open.
Right.
And that's part of the problem I think we saw on Sunday. What do? You have to set up plays with different progressions. You have to rethink what those look like in the face of that kind of pressure. And again, the frustration that I saw on Ben's face, I think there's probably some conversations that are happening about how they're going to change some of these things up.
Remember, one of the big changes that Ben Johnson made with Jared Goff when they put their offense together was that Goff always used to read the field short to long.
Yep.
Now with JMO especially, he reads long to short. Well, if you're coming back, if JMO's your first target and he's taken away for whatever reason, okay,
Yep.
where's your next one? You're going to look at Amon-Ra before you look at LaPorta, and that's not a shot at LaPorta. He's a great player. Saints, one of the best players in the league. Like, it makes sense to look to him next. So yeah, he is going to be. I like the way that you broke that down. So thank you, Chris. That was good.
Thank you. Let's roll to the next one. The Detroit Lions worryometer for Alim McNeill.
So I threw this one in, and the genesis
I'm just going
of
to pass
it was
to you. I'm not even going to handle my worryometer, and I'm going to give you the worryometer.
The Facebook fan groups are very concerned that he doesn't have a sack yet. They're like, "Oh my God, he's getting a contract year. We've got to get if he wants the money, why isn't he going and getting it?" I'm like, are y'all watching him play? Like, is there a problem with the defensive line that I'm not aware of? I know they only got to Matthew Stafford twice. Y'all really got to get past that. Pass rush is more than sacks. It really is. It really is. He's playing really good football.
And the Lions,
it's not showing up on the stat sheet.
But it is. But for other players, right? And that.
Well, yes.
And you're seeing Hutch just eat out there this week. Right?
You're seeing Levi play very well. Levi would not be what Levi is without Alim McNeill next to him.
I love
that's not taking away from Levi either, because Levi's been fantastic. It
so happy for him.
Amazes me that he's back playing, let alone playing freaking awesome.
Yep.
I love it.
I'm so happy for Levi. Oh God, I'm so happy for him, man. As a human being, to watch what he's been through and where he's at and the bull that he's taken. I just love what I'm seeing out of him. Congrats, Levi, for where you are right now, from where you came in.
And so I'll just say this: we had a media session with him towards the end of training camp, and we collectively, as the media, and it was Burkett. No, it wasn't Burkett. It was might have been Ben Raven who said it to him. Like, pretty much everybody that's talking to you right now has written you off. How do you feel about that? And he's like, I would have written me off too. Was very like. He kind of let us off the hook, and we appreciated that. But at the same time, like it reinforced to us how good of a person he is, that he's able to put that behind him, and understand that that's where he was, and that's how far he's come, and that's part of his story. Yeah. And that's one of the reasons why now, like, a lot of us have gone way over in the other direction. Like, when do we start thinking about a Levi Onwuzurike extension? Because he's earned that, and that's a story that we all want to.
As a human being, I couldn't be happier for him, and for what he's gone through to where he is just fantastic. And just I hope he is riding on cloud 9 right now and just enjoys every single second. And this is where I tell Lions fans, when your team's good, especially after everything we've been through, ride cloud 9, enjoy it while it's there. Don't waste your time. Enjoy it. Don't waste your time.
Don't waste your time worrying about Alim McNeill not having sacks after 2 games.
Yeah. Don't worry about the old days. Ride it, have fun while you can, because it's only here for when it's here. All right, let's roll to the next one. We have our worryometer for Jack Campbell. Jack Campbell worryometer. I've heard his name, not as much as I would have liked to. I'm not worried about Mr. Campbell because of the role he plays. I think depending, and I haven't caught up with what's happened with Captain Anzalone and his little boo-boo this week.
He did not participate in practice today, which means that it's very doubtful that he will play, because you have to have one limited practice and one full practice, then have a day where you don't have symptoms. So I don't expect him to play this week.
Yeah.
If he doesn't practice, at least limited tomorrow, he's out. So that means you're going to see a lot more of Rodrigo and Anzalone.
Yep, and Campbell.
Fun pair. Yeah, and Campbell, obviously.
Not of Anzalone. You said Anzalone. He's the one.
Yes, correct.
So my worryometer, I think this week we'll see more of Jack. I think we're gonna see Jack in the role where you'll see him step up more, and I think people who are down on him are gonna feel better about him. My worryometer is nonplussed on Jack Camber. Now let's check the worryometer for Mr. Risden.
Run game, he's been really good. He's cleaning things up. He's reading the hole well and reading how the blocks are attacking the defense in front of him very well. So from the run defense, I'm not worried at all. In fact, I'm negative worried about his run defense. Coverage is like a 6, maybe a 7, because he's not seeing it. He's not moving well in space. He's flat-footed. You can't play him in zone. You just can't. He just doesn't. There's no instincts there, and that's not getting better. So average that out, and it's like a 3.25, because you can sub and platoon him when you get into a nickel package, which they're doing less of.
Yeah,
he doesn't have to be on the field. Like, you can bring Germ in, you can have Barnes and Rodrigo in there. And obviously, you don't want Rodrigo covering a lot.
He's
but
been good out there.
Pretty good in coverage.
Rodriguez has looked pretty good out there, man. I'm for a depth guy right now, right? I'm really happy with Malcolm Rodriguez. Last year he had a little bit of a quiet year, but he's roared a little bit this year, and I love it.
He's matured his game nicely.
Yes,
and that makes me happy. So I want to see more from Jack in coverage, but as a run defender, and I actually had a good conversation with our own Russ Brown about this. He's really good at the run defense right now, and that definitely helps make things better.
Yeah. Ken, Jay-Z says he was doing good and then got juked by Baker Mayfield. Love Rodrigo and hope that was a
Rodrigo got
But let's give credit to Baker, because Baker has done that to a lot of players, and Baker was hungry out there. Nobody wanted this game on that team more than Baker did. He was playing. He wanted this game. He said it beforehand. It meant something to him because he was mad, and so he played it. Good on him for putting the team on his back the way he did.
He wears the underdog shirt incredibly well.
Yeah,
he always has. I will always be a Baker Mayfield fan. I think he got completely dicked over in Cleveland, and I think they're suffering the consequences of that. Negative football karma is hitting Cleveland from that. They won last week, obviously.
Yeah, they got somebody else over there with the dick out. All right, let's talk about really quick DJ Reader. Someone want to get your thoughts on that, and then we'll do our last worryometer readings.
Reader look good. I will say I think that some people had the wrong idea about what he's not a pass rusher. That's not what he does.
Yep.
He snacks Harrison. That's who he is.
Yep.
Like, Snacks would fall on a quarterback to get a half sack like every 5th game. Like, that's the extent of his pass rush. That's what DJ Reader is, not a pass rusher. So if you're looking for him to come in and get 8 sacks, you're gonna hate him. It's not what he does.
Ben Cavella,
I thought he played great. He played great.
Really smart take from Ben here. His worryometer, Jack Fox. He's the best punter in the league. Why in the hell are we forcing him to pass? So good.
Pretty good at that too.
Yeah. Side note: how come nobody's upset we went for it that time? From the 20 again.
Oh,
I saw that. Great, good call, Ben. Very, very good call. I saw that.
I like it.
I know why they're not upset.
That's a good one.
Because it worked. No one's calling for
Nobody
coach's
expects
head.
the Spanish Inquisition.
Yeah. No one's calling for coach's head, and he's sitting there waiting for the question, and he knows nobody's going to ask it, right? And he's sitting up there saying, you fucking cowards. That's in his head right
Break
there.
Another podium.
Yeah. You fucking cowards. Good on Coach for not rubbing face.
The Lions social media going through the progression of the podiums They're on their third one now. If you haven't seen it, watch it. It's great.
That's hilarious. All right, last one of the worryometers.
Right.
The entire team. Okay, Riz, the narrative.
Right.
This team is crashing and burning. We've seen what this team is. We're figured out. There is no hope for the Detroit Lions. The season's already over. We're already marching on Campbell's house with pitchforks and torches, ready to run him out of town like Dr. Frankenstein. It's over. The worryometer of the fans of the Detroit Lions is at 53 out of 10. It's done. Put your foot in it. Put the fire out. It's over. The entire team is doomed. It's kind of the sense you get on Facebook and some of the other social media spots.
Yeah,
for me,
it is.
I'm just going to say I'm at 0. I'm at 0 for this team. And I'll tell you why. I have some worries of some of the players individually, and because they need to get some things together and work on it. This team is built on grit. They know it takes a little more. They faced a good opponent out there who schemed really well, who wanted the game more, who had a fire that the Lions didn't have. And they faced a wake-up call. And I think this team will respond. I think the Arizona game is going to be tough. All I care about, look, we'll talk about we'll do a game preview next year quick. I don't know that they're going to win. I don't know that they're going to lose. But as long as I see that gritty, kneecappy fight, that's all I want from this team, because I didn't see it this last week. And if that's back, I've got no worries, because that will always outshine whatever they're facing on the field in the long haul over time. So for the team, my worryometer is at 0. Now, you have the worryometer. What is your meter saying?
It's pretty dang low. This is still the reigning NFC North champs. They're still a really good football team. They're off to a slower start than I think we wanted. Don't think that means that they've fallen apart. I don't think that means that we need to make radical changes. We don't need Hendon Hooker starting at quarterback. My God, Woodward, have some shame. Have just a little bit, just a little.
What integrity?
You all wonder why you lost your credentials. Good Lord. It's embarrassing.
Okay.
I'm not worried about the team. The team's going to be fine. I had them 11, 6, 12,
Where
and 5.
else can you get a
going into
hot
the
take
season.
and a haircut? Where else can you get a hot take and a haircut, buddy? And not a paycheck.
I still think they're going 11, 6, 12, and 5. I still think they're winning the NFC North. I still think they're going to win any playoff game. Can win any playoff. There's nothing that has changed from that. Nothing.
Yep.
Still a great team. Worry meter on the entire team is lower than it is on like individuals, kind of like you said.
Yeah.
And again, I worry about everything. That's what I do. I'm a mother hen. I was one of those people in the fraternity in college where I stayed sober in parties because I worried about my friends, and I knew that I could handle them if I needed to. Like that's just sort of the person that I am. I'm always worrying about what I should be worrying about.
Was your nickname?
That's actually my mom's favorite quote, and I got that from my mother. And it rubbed
your
off.
nickname
Thanks,
wasn't
Mom.
Diddy, was it, at those parties?
It was not.
Okay,
No.
just checking, just making sure.
Good Lord. No.
Diddy Rizzy?
There's a fun research project for you. Find out what my college nickname was.
Diddy Rizzy.
It's out there.
Diddy
You'll have
Riz.
to do some digging, but it's out there.
Oh God, Diddy Riz. Okay, let's get going. We got that. Let's get to the. I'm sorry, bro. I can't. It's just.
I actually know what that's about too. I'm kind of proud of myself for knowing that.
It's bananas.
I don't really pay attention to shit.
It's bananas what that could turn into. Oh my God. All right, Arizona Cardinals game preview.
Yes.
We've got an Arizona Cardinals team. We're going to Arizona. This is a team that has traditionally been very, very difficult for us. I believe the last time we faced these Arizona Cardinals was when they were looking to go to the playoffs and had a massive meltdown that was instigated by a loss to the Detroit Lions, who were instigating their turnaround.
Yes, and then that year, the Rams lost in the playoffs to Jared Goff and the Rams on their way to the Super. Or no, they lost. It wasn't Jared Goff. It was Matthew Stafford, and on their way to the Super Bowl.
Yep.
Fun fact I picked up this morning. I did I wish I knew the name of it. It's a Cardinals podcast, and it's done by Cards Wire editor Jess Root. We recorded it very early this morning, and he pointed out to me that Jared Goff has only ever lost once to the Arizona Cardinals. Remember, they played in the same division, and that was his very first game on a Rams team that was coached by Jeff Fisher, and I think they went 1-15 that year. So, yeah, Goff has had their number. I'll just spit it out real quick because Jess and I had a really good talk about him. He's a smart guy, and he picked the Lions to win, and he gave 2 bullet points why. Number one, they don't have a pass rush. Like, they don't. It's not there. It's non-existent. Not what they do. It's not how they win. They feasted on the Rams' 5th, 6th string defensive or offensive linemen better than the Lions did, but only because they made a concerted effort to cover a little bit closer to the line, the coordination there. So the other one was that they don't tackle well. I'll say to Buda Baker in the secondary. So those plays that were getting, where Amon-Ra was getting blasted, they're not going to happen as much.
Yeah.
And he thought that the Lions could score on every drive. And I don't think that they will, but I think that they will get it right. So, yeah. Am I worried about Kyler Murray and Marvin Harrison and Trey McBride? James Conner, by the way, really good running back, effective running back. Trey Benson come out of the backfield as a rookie. Pretty good, impressive rookie. Look, he doesn't run the ball super well unless he gets like a big hole, but he's a dangerous guy.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to have to outscore them. Can we outscore them? Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we can.
Yeah, we can.
Yeah, we can.
Yeah, we can.
They have some gaps. They definitely have some gaps and some holes in that defense. But that is the key for the Lions in this game is the offense needs to show up. The offense
can't go 1 for 7 in the red zone.
To show up. And
there's 2 ways of avoiding that. Score from outside the red zone or run the damn ball up. David Montgomery metal up the ass, up the middle.
Thank you.
Every play until they stop it in the red zone.
Yes, 110%. And if you like David Montgomery metal up the ass in the red zone as the play, go ahead and hit that like button. I do too. I had the knife out of the toilet, and the original one.
Out of the toilet.
Said metal up your. Yeah, I had that. I had a couple of sweet concert shirts that I've gotten rid of over the years. That unfortunately, not purposely.
I got sent home from school and for wearing that my junior year of high school.
I had to show up to get sent home. All right. So here we go. So I think as we look at these Arizona Cardinals, for me, the key is our offense has to hit. I'm not worried about the defense. Look, Kyler's a mobile quarterback. He is. They're going to score some points. They're just not going to score as many as the Lions can. And that's where I think the piece, the magic is. I'm just saying, watch Branch. I think Branch is going to have himself a game this week. I think Branch is going to just get his hands on a ball. I don't know why. I just feel like it's a really good fit where he is in our defense versus where their offense is. I just have this sense that he's going to get his hands on a ball and he may not get 6 out of it, but he's going to get a couple yards after that pick. And I think that's the defensive turnovers are going to be probably one of the big pieces. As long as the offense runs, it's going to be a game where I kind of feel like you want to take the over on it. I don't know what the over is. I don't know what the number is, but
it's 52.5.
I'd probably take the over.
I would take the over as well.
Yeah. A lot of points.
I think the Lions offense gets right against a weaker defense than what they've played so far.
Yep.
Now we vastly underestimated the Rams defense. Maybe that was just the first week and them shooting their shot. I don't know. So that's a rough one.
So quick take from you. Don Burr wants to talk about what Mr. Smarty Pants over there from the Lions or the Cardinals wire had to say. What is it that Arizona worries about from Detroit?
The plethora of weapons that they can use because and the way that he said it was the Buccaneers took LaPorta away. Well, they still gave up over 450 yards. The Lions aren't going to go 1 for 7 in the red zone again. He's like, they could go 6 for 6 this week. We don't know.
Yeah.
He was worried about the man coverage on the outside because they really only have Marvin Harrison's going to be a fantastic receiver. And I really hope that we get to watch some Terrion Arnold versus Marvin Harrison this week.
Yeah.
He does too. That's a sexy matchup. You can sell that.
Yeah.
The other matchups, the Lions corners are better than the guy that the Cardinals have running against them. And that was his frustration, was like, okay, what if Marvin isn't ideal? What if Terrion Arnold's legit and he thinks that he is? It's going to be tough for them because Kyler's going to run for a lot of yards. The other thing that he was worried about was that the Lions' run defense remains the best in the league at stopping opposing running backs. We don't stop quarterbacks. We don't stop jet sweeps to wide receivers very well. In fact, we're one of the worst at that. But last year, we were the best run defense against running backs in the league, and we're continuing to do that again this year. We're not first because there's some really bad running games, and they've played good defenses. But we're going to be there again. We're going to be very close to it if we're not it.
So this year, we faced one running cornerback in Baker, and I think we did all right. I mean, he got some yards there. Yeah.
We missed some tackles on him, and that was frustrating.
But we didn't do as poorly as we historically have. And Baker's a good running quarterback. He's not just a scamper kind of guy. He's a scamper and put a shoulder down and try to truck a guy. He's got meat on those legs, right? He's not afraid. And
Kyler can do that faster, so that should concern us. But as Jess said, they do so much off of James Conner running the ball and being in 2nd and 4, 3rd and 2. That's where Kyler really thrives. And if he's at 2nd and 7, 3rd and 8, takes a lot of their options away. So that's where we're going to get it.
Give me a prediction on the score, Riz.
I got 33-27 Lions, so I'm way over. What do you got?
Yeah. 30-24. 30-24.
All right.
So there you go.
And you get to do a post-game show celebrating a victory.
Oh, yeah! Detroit Lions post-game show will be there with Ash. We'll have it for you this week. We'll have a good time. Join us immediately following the game. It's so much fun. We'll take your calls. We'll do all the good stuff. It is a grand, grand time. And remember, when we do post-game shows this year, they always win. So I'll see you on Victory Sunday. With that, don't forget about us on Patreon, patreon.com/Detroit Lions podcast. Access to the Slack chat for all the Patreon donors who donate $5 or more per month. It is the most intelligent Lions chat on the internet. It is a fantastic place with very, very good people.
It was especially good today. Thank you for that.
Even the in-game chat is fantastic. It's the game threads are sensible. I mean, good folks. Come in, hang out. Patreon.com/Detroit Lions podcast. It's one of our prouder places that we hang out. Also follow us on Twitter at DET Lions Podcast and at Jeff Risden. At DET Lions Podcast is where you find out everything about the show, when we're going, when we're not, what happens, what's going on, when, all that kind of stuff. And be sure to go to DetroitLionsPodcast.com. Subscribe to the podcast, because when you do that, Jeff gets to do. What do you do, Riz?
I get to come into your ear holes automatically.
Thank you for tuning in. We'll see you next time on the Detroit Lions podcast. Remember, no pants, no toasters, no hot tubs, no loss this week, and no problems, because we are your Detroit Lions and Reddit connection. Thank you, everyone. We'll see you this weekend.
You